Welcome, everybody, to the fourth episode of a very special podcast. I am Patrick M. Dunn, and I'm joined here today by Kat Halstead.
Yay, you got it right.
And we are in this is our second Halloween extravaganza.
Yes.
I wanted to say cavalcade, but I think that's like a parade, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm known for saying the wrong words at the wrong time. But we can find you. You're an author, an accomplished author. You've written spooky stories. The Spirit Board? Is that a spooky story?
The Spirit Board.
It's about finding love over a Ouija board. Is that? I haven't read it. I'll tell you that.
I'll send you a copy later. Yes, no. Spirit Board is a short little YA horror story about the dangers of using Ouija board and unleashing something you shouldn't be unleashing.
Like, what was unleashed? Like a demon?
A demon. A demon who looked like Jared Leto in the 90s.
See, but how is that a horror story?
It worked.
That's like everyone's dream. Like, do you know what would have been more believable if it looked like Brian Krakow?
Well, when you read the story, it makes more sense.
There's a movie on Hulu. It's actually called The Ouija Board. It's like one of those direct-to-internet movies. Mm-hmm. That's like the new direct-to-video.
Yeah.
We'll have to check it out. I wonder if there's an eerie similarity.
Are you sure it's not the one from like the 80s?
It could be. I didn't really... I just saw the Ouija board.
I have never seen the one from the 80s. I just know about it because my older cousins told me about it when I got a Ouija board when I was like 9, and they're like, "Oh, like the horror movie. You better watch what you're doing with that." And I was like, "Huh?"
I think
we're just gonna ask it if we're gonna marry like Elijah Wood or Macaulay Culkin.
Those are questions you ask.
Or marry your Jason Priestley. I mean,
I was the person who would move like the pointer thing, whatever it's called.
Uh-huh.
It's like something that is made by Milton Bradley is gonna like unleash demons in your house.
You never know.
I mean,
you never know.
I guess the Ouija board has to be blessed by a priest. Is that how it works? I mean, I got mine at Toys R Us.
Well, people make their own boards. That's when things get a little creepy.
Yeah, you're supposed to there's supposed to be like a ritual behind it. Like you're supposed to like sacrifice a bison on top of it or something. I don't know, whatever you want. Sacrifice something.
I don't know about sacrificing bison.
Well, I don't think we have any bison left to sacrifice.
Yeah, definitely. We don't have like surplus.
But anyway, this week we decided to mix it up a little bit. The first 3 episodes we did sitcoms, and now that we're in the midst of the Halloween season, we wanted to do an animated special. It has 2 names, so it's the official television name is Garfield's Halloween Adventure, but if you were a fan of the comic strip, you will know this as Garfield in Disguise, which I think is a better name.
They both work.
I think CBS was the network that aired this.
Yeah.
They probably wanted Halloween in the title.
Oh yeah, because they want to make
guess.
sure you know that you're watching a Halloween special.
Like, if you say like Garfield in Disguise, it could be a spy movie. You never know. You never know.
That's true.
So this aired originally in the fall of 1985, which I was surprised because I thought it was earlier than that.
Yeah, I thought it was like 1983 maybe. I don't know why I thought 1983, but...
So to begin, what are your memories of Garfield's Halloween Adventure?
I kind of remember Garfield getting dressed up and him and Odie going trick-or-treating, and that was really it. I didn't remember the twisted part of this special.
The morbid third act?
Yeah. Where things go from, huh, to what am I watching? Oh my god, I can't look.
Actually, I think this might be the first time I became aware of Garfield. And then I ventured out into the comic strips. And remember those the books? They were like the half books?
I totally had some of those books. I probably got them from my cousin because she was obsessed with Garfield.
Like, it was like Garfield at Large. Definitely had Garfield in Disguise. I remember owning that. And I remember reading it and thinking, I know this story from somewhere. But it's a little different. Garfield in Disguise is the comic strip.
Differences.
It's the same basic plot, but it's a little more creepy.
Well, you can get away with that in the books. You can't get away with that on CBS in 1985.
But this episode is only like 20 minutes. It used to seem a lot longer to me. Like, I used to feel like it was hours long.
Well, all those specials felt like hours long when we were a kid because we don't know the difference.
Time didn't matter to you?
Yeah, it's like, all I know is I get to watch Garfield at night, and I don't have to go to bed right away.
So, Garfield's Halloween Adventure. The episode opens, and Garfield is sleeping with the TV on. It's really early in the morning, and the local channel isn't broadcast anymore. It's just that
test
those color bars. Thing? Yeah, like a screen pattern. And like the dead air logo, I guess is what you call it. And he's asleep in his box. Like the way Garfield used to sleep, he would be like sleeping in his like rectangular shaped like shoebox top. And then he would have like a blanket over him. So he was like completely covered in the blanket.
No cat I've ever had would go for that.
No. And he had such poor eating habits that he probably had horrible gas and horrible morning breath. So he's just like stewing in his own filth overnight, suffocating in it basically.
He doesn't care. He's a fat cat, gets to watch TV all day.
But I bet the Arbuckle living room stinks. I bet it just like you never see Garfield in the bathtub. There's never
cats don't like water.
But you still have to bathe them every now and then.
Yeah. And then you get all scratched up.
I don't know if Garfield would put up a fight, though.
He can get feisty when he wants to.
Yeah, but we actually scratch John. And the next question, John like it.
He probably would scratch John. And John probably would be like, oh, Garfield.
Garfield.
And just not care.
So Garfield's sleeping in his living room, in his little shoebox thing. And Binky the clown comes on the TV, and he's the loudest clown. Like, oh my God. The TV part ends, and he's on the screen, like in your face.
Yes, okay. I was watching an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark the other day on Amazon Prime. I was watching like the volume 1, the first episode, and had to do Zeebo the clown. Zeebo the clown looks exactly like Blinky. It freaked me out.
Zeebo the clown?
Yes, I was like, whoa, okay. I was like, Blinky is a pretty creepy clown, but now that I've seen Zeebo, who looks a lot like him, I'm like, okay, yikes. And I'm not normally, like, freaked out by clowns, but kind of am now.
Well, the funniest thing about Binky the clown is that, well, other than being loud and obnoxious, he forces Garfield to do exercise. Oh, well, not just Garfield, but just the audience. And
just all the little kids that are apparently first thing in the morning watching Binky the Clown. He's like, let's do jumping jacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, what is this, the Mickey Mouse Club workout show?
Mousercise.
Mousercise, yes.
So Garfield agrees, and he starts exercising. He starts doing jumping jacks in his little shoebox thing.
Yeah, I don't think he even agrees. He's just doing it because he's hearing the voice telling him to do it. So he's like,
his eyes are half shut, like he's high, is what it basically looks like. He suddenly realizes what he's doing, and he's like, WTF, and he has the remote control, and he shuts the TV off. But right as he hits the button, Binky the Clown says, well, tonight's Halloween, kids, and the reason why you're doing all this exercise is so you can get some free candy. And, like, the TV's off. Garfield, like, drops the remote, and he's about to go back to sleep, and he's like, what? And he jumps back up and turns the TV on. He's, like, flipping through all the channels, trying to find Binky the Clown and his Halloween message, because apparently he's never heard of Halloween before.
Or he just doesn't know when it is.
True, but he can't find the channel right away, because he's, like, in 1985, how many channels were there?
Maybe 20. I didn't have cable in the early 80s. My uncle did it. He had this, like, box that was the remote control, and it was actually, like, a long cord hooked up to the TV, and you just, like, switched this, like, a switch on it to go to the TV, to the channel. Not even, like, a button remote. It was, like, a box, and you had to, like, shift, like, a thing, like a switch to go to your channel.
Oh, olden day cable.
Yeah, so, like, he has maybe 20 channels.
And he's struggling to find it. Meanwhile, today, I have, like, probably 750 channels, and 50 of them are just various HBOs in different languages.
Yeah,
So
I probably have like, I don't even know how many channels we have, but I probably only watched like 6 of them.
the network channels, basically, right?
Yeah, I watched like ABC, CBS, Fox, maybe CW, maybe NBC. Can't tell you the last time I actually sat down and was like, okay, let's watch the NBC lineup. But then like I watched like a cable news channel, maybe like Nick at Night TV Land. Like what else is there?
So anyways, Garfield turns back on the TV. He finds the Binky the Clown channel. He learns that Halloween is tonight. He's filled in on the details, the dirty details of Halloween. Then he breaks into a song and dance number.
Yes, there's a lot of song and dance numbers.
I was convinced that it was the same singer that did the Blossom theme song. Apparently it wasn't. It's actually the guy who does Garfield's voice. I guess he's a singer too. So now this is where the story gets interesting. So we come back. Garfield strolls into the kitchen. Actually, he's like on the kitchen table, like the breakfast bar, I guess.
Yeah. He's always like on the counter.
It's more like, it's like a breakfast bar because it's not like a table.
Yeah.
So Garfield walks in. He's all excited about Halloween. And there is John Arbuckle. He is just looking very sullen. Like, it looks like that he just tried to kill himself but failed at it.
John is a lonely, lonely, lonely man. I mean, think about how much he talks just to Garfield and Odie like they're going to respond.
Garfield talks, but we're hearing his inner monologue.
Yeah.
And John can't hear him talk, but as the audience, we kind of like imagine it's a conversation between the two. I mean, I guess if you're a pet owner, you kind of have that like psychic bond between...
Yeah, you kind of talk to your dog.
Between man and beast. But I've never had my dog walk in and psychically tell me that he's going to go out for Halloween.
I just can't even, like, fathom, like, woof, woof, I want to go trick-or-treating, woof, woof.
I want to hear the conversation from John's, our frame of reference.
Like, why does he let his cat and his dog go? Like, where does he get this idea that this is a totally normal and okay thing to do?
Well, because Garfield walks in, he struts along the countertop, and he kind of looks at him. Garfield
the pumpkin ends up on John's face. The jack-o'-lantern.
I forgot, he was carving a pumpkin at the time, right?
Yeah.
And didn't Garfield scare him?
Yeah, and he's all like, I bet you're wondering why this jack-o'-lantern's on my face.
And it shoots up in the air, and it lands on John's head? Is that what happens?
Yeah, but it doesn't break or anything. So there must have been a hole on the bottom that was the same size as John's head to land perfectly on his head.
Well, it's a cartoon, so...
Yeah, but still.
Well, John makes a breakfast tray. So I think it was like eggs and bacon, an apple, which I can probably see a cat eating. But there's also a pot of coffee.
Yeah, like
a carafe.
Like, why? Like, is John trying to make Garfield fat so that he has an excuse to take him to the vet, Liz, so that he can hit on her constantly? Is that it?
Thank you. Liz is the Garfield's vet, correct?
Yes. Like, John chased her for years. I think, like, in the late 90s, she finally became his girlfriend.
In the Garfield and Friends TV show or in the comic strip?
In the comic strip.
Okay. I kind of stopped reading it in, like, 92, so I can't really tell you what happened in the later years.
Yeah. I just know from Google search, Wikipedia, whatnot. But yeah, like, why are you feeding your dog this stuff? Or your cat this stuff?
Would you classify John as an animal hoarder?
As an animal hoarder? Well, how many cats and dogs does he have?
There's Garfield, there's Odie, and is Nermal the one they're always babysitting?
Yeah, the annoying little gray one. Garfield's always trying to ship to, like, China or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think he'd have to have a lot more.
See, I think that's a very touchy subject because, I mean, you can go by two factors. You can go by the house to pet ratio, where you like factor in the size of the house to the pets you have, or you can do the people to pet ratio, which is just John with Garfield and Odie.
That's manageable. But
Garfield in himself is a pest, and Odie is a slobbery beast. And I don't know.
Odie is just an adorable little friendly guy who likes to come up and lick you and slobber on you. and he just wants to hang out with his best buddy Garfield. That's all he wants.
Like, do you think the Arbuckle house is a mess?
I don't think so. What we see, it's not that messy.
I mean, we only see from certain angles.
That's true.
What CBS wants us to see.
Well, if he's a hoarder, it's all going up in the attic.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Do you think the whole show is just John hallucinating that he is interacting with his pets?
Wouldn't he go on the adventure with them then?
Well, he could be just imagining it.
I think he's just sitting really in a padded room somewhere, and his dog, he's got this image of his dog and cat having these wild adventures without him.
Well, he's probably a nervous person. He doesn't like the idea of leaving the house, because you very rarely see John Arbuckle out of the house, but it feels like Garfield and Odie leave the house more than he does.
Huh.
So that's just like one little food for thought right there. So basically what happens after breakfast, Garfield decides to visit the attic, John Arbuckle's attic, and he's about to get up there with Odie.
Hold on, you forgot part of it. You forgot how he bribes Odie to go with him trick-or-treating.
Oh, that's what I was kind of like slipping in.
One piece of candy. If Odie's a good dog and helps him get tons of candy, Odie gets one piece of candy all for himself.
And Odie buys into it. He's excited because he jumps.
He wants to hang out with Garfield.
Because I guess Odie loves Garfield. Is that the...
Yeah, I think Odie adores Garfield. Garfield is like his best friend. Like he doesn't know any better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like Odie's kind of oafish though.
Yeah.
But he means well. He means well. So then they go up into the attic and they go through a treasure chest in John's attic. But there's tons of stuff up in John's attic. So these are the contents of John's treasure chest. He has his dead aunt's dentures, his dead aunt's eyeglasses, a wig.
There was like all kinds of clothes and stuff.
But why does John have his dead aunt's dentures in a treasure chest in his attic? I don't know. Well, because you were telling me that you're like, everyone has a treasure chest.
Oh, okay, maybe not everyone. When I was a kid, everybody had like a costume chest. Or at least we did. Like, my mom had, like, this chest, and it had, like, these old costumes. Like, there was a couple clown costumes and other stuff from, like, the 70s or 60s or something. Probably stuff, like, my cousins had used, but there was nobody's dentures were in there.
Well, I never had any of that, unfortunately. Kind of wish I had a treasure chest of family secrets.
Maybe it's that kind of thing his, like, mom is like, John, do you still have your aunt's dentures? I want to see the dentures to make sure you haven't thrown those out, Johnny. So he had to keep them somewhere. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we've already established that John is a sick bastard, so you can't really put it past him. So then, Garfield and Odie break into, like, a Michael Jackson black or white face morph-like song, and Garfield describes, like, the various costumes that they could wear. And some of them were really cooler than the ones that they ended up wearing.
Yeah.
Like, there was, like, a bat. Like, Garfield was, like, a vampire bat at one point.
That vampire thing was pretty cool. The Halloween cat was pretty lame.
Yeah.
Because he's already a cat. Like, come on.
He's already
You're
a cat.
already a cat. You're black and orange, Garfield. You don't need to be all black. Come on.
So then, for some reason, he just decides he wants to be a pirate. A boring old pirate. Like a peg-legged pirate.
Peg leg. One of, like, at least 5 peg legs that John had in that trunk. I don't know why he had so many peg legs.
Well, Garfield had 1 peg leg on, and then Odie wore the other 4. Like, I've never seen a peg leg in my life, and John Arbuckle has 4 of them. And how to, like...
You're fine.
Like, you don't really just slide into a peg leg. They just kind of, like, attach to a limb.
Yeah.
But, like, Garfield and Odie just, like, slid into them.
Like, their feet disappeared. And they got big feet.
So they find their costume. John Arbuckle gives them their blessings. And they head out on the town. It's Halloween night. The 2 of them are alone, roaming the streets of wherever they live. And no one none of, like, the houses they go to acknowledge that they are giving candy to a cat and a dog.
Poor dog. Like the one lady, he's got his little, like, I'm guessing cardboard sword. Maybe it's wood. I don't know.
I think it's wood. It
And
looks
he,
like it
like,
was wooden.
vanishes it about at the lady, like, she gives them each one piece, and he, like, goes like this. He wants more. And then she, like, pours the bowls into their bags between the two of them. Like, what the heck? No, I got, like, 200 kids coming to my door. I'm giving you one piece of candy.
It's probably a minor felony. He threatened a lady with like a splintered wooden sword. And how did she not go like, you're a cat? And, like, and you're a dog. I ain't giving you shit. Like, how did she not pick up on that?
Maybe she thought it was just elaborate costumes for little children.
If 30 days from now, when it's really Halloween, and a cat and a dog will ring your doorbell, would you know it was a cat and a dog? They were trying to pass themselves off as children. So now Halloween is over, basically, and Garfield gets greedy. I mean, he already has 2 sackfuls of candy.
Yeah, and they're not, okay, to be fair, they're not like their pillowcases. They're like okay-sized sacks, but they're not like a pillowcase full of candy.
And
it's like maybe a gallon of candy.
He gets extremely greedy, and he decides, well, they stumble upon like a river.
Just this random river.
First of all, I don't know where they live. I don't know.
I think everybody was Illinois.
Well, you say Illinois, but there's an ocean involved.
Hello, there's like a huge lake in Chicago.
Yeah, you might be right. Who knows? We'll have to do some further research. But they stumble upon a river, and there's a dock, and like a rowboat just chilling there. And Garfield's like, I have a great idea. Why don't we get on this rowboat, and we'll like sail across the river and go over to all those houses over there. And Odie doesn't talk, so he goes along with it. So they get into the rowboat, but the river current takes them. And this is why I thought they ended up in the sea.
Why? Because of the island?
Well, I mean, at one point, Garfield's like, oh, I didn't expect this river current to take us. So I felt like they ended up in the ocean.
Well, like, rivers like can split off into smaller rivers and stuff. The Mississippi does it.
So Garfield and Odie end up at a small island in either the ocean or at a river breakoff.
It can happen. I've seen islands in the middle of the Mississippi.
But did you see an island in the Mississippi that was big enough for a pirate ship to sail into?
Actually, yeah.
Okay. Well, in my mind, I was picturing more of like a coastal
I'm down
community.
by the river. I'm taking pictures and sending them to you. You will understand what I've seen.
Okay. In my mind, I'm picturing like a coastal community, like the Goonies or something. There just happens to be an island in the middle of this waterway, we'll call it. And Garfield and Odie step off their rowboat, and they look at the house, and there's a light on, like a candlelight maybe, or like a gas light.
Something, there's like a lantern of some sort.
And Garfield's like, oh, it looks like somebody's home. Let's go knock up on the door and see who's available. Like, all right, okay. So they leave their candy in the boat. I think at this point they're freaked out. I think they know something's up. They're a little cautious.
Yeah, this isn't normal, but nothing about this is normal. Who am I kidding?
Garfield's like, something's up. So they cautiously go, they knock on the door, nobody answers. And then for some reason, instead of just going back to the boat and like trying to like paddle back to shore, Garfield's like, let's go in. So they go in to the house, and they find a fire, like a fireplace is lit. And they're warming themselves by the fire, and all of a sudden, you hear like the sound of a creepy old man, and they turn around, and the creepiest old man you'll ever see
Oh my god, he was
in
so
live action or animation in a chair.
I was for sure freaked out by this guy, and
This part here used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid.
I feel like it scared me, and this is why I blocked it out. Didn't want to remember this part, like, at all.
And last week as an adult, I was also similarly scared. So this old man tells a story about how 100 years ago that very night, a gaggle of pirates They were about to be attacked by the Coast Guard or some kind of land people.
The Navy.
Yeah, the Navy.
People.
I don't know. Somebody. They had all this treasure on their ship, and they were like, all right, we're going to land on this island. This house was already built. Lucky for them. So they, like, cracked open the floorboards. They buried the treasure underneath. They, I don't know, boarded it back up, and they made a pact that whether they were dead or alive, they're going to come back 100 years to the day and reclaim the treasure.
When they're like, okay, so like these are like grown-ass men that are pirates, right? So let's say at the very least, the youngest one is maybe, let's say 17 or 16, okay? So they're going to come back 100 years later when they're like 116 years old.
Well,
if they're still, like, come on.
Well, they said whether they were dead or alive.
True. But come on, did any of them really expect to still be alive in 100 years?
Well, the old man who was in the chair, he was 10 years old. He was like the cabin boy, maybe. So he's now 110 years old. He's still alive.
Yeah.
And he is just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go back to that house and see if these pirate ghosts show up. So,
he didn't look 110. I mean, he looked old as heck, but he did not look 110.
He very well could have been 110.
True.
So Garfield and Odie, like, they run in circles around each other because they're, like, frightened. And while they're doing that, that guy, like, slips out and he hops on their boat, the rowboat, and, like, sails away.
Yeah.
So now Garfield and Odie are trapped on this island. And it's like 3 minutes to midnight. The clock chimes, the grandfather clock chimes, like midnight.
Because
they're trying
it's always the grandfather clock.
They're trying to shut it off, but they can't. And then nothing happens.
Spirits will come no matter what.
So at first, nothing happens. So Garfield's like, oh, it's just a hoax. But then they, like, go outside, and you see, like, these lights over, like, the fog in the river bend. These, like, white lights up there. And they're like, oh, fuck, it's coming. And then these are the scariest ghosts you will ever see in any television series or movie. They're very detailed. They look like they will murder you in your sleep. The way
they were
run.
freaky, like.
So they
Give
see
me Casper any day.
Yeah. So they see the ghosts coming, like, across the sea. So they're scared shitless. So they hide in, like, maybe like a mini bar, maybe.
Like just a cabinet kind of thing, like like a mini bar type thing.
So they're hiding in that. The ghosts come inside. They, like, ghost their way down to the basement, and then they ghost their way back up, and they have the treasure with them, and they're about to leave, but for some reason Odie sneezes.
Well, it's probably dusty in this, like, over 100-year-old house that nobody lives in, but the door is unlocked, so creepy old guys can just come on in, and cats and dogs can just walk on in.
With thumbs, by the way. So Odie sneezes, and his sneeze is so loud that it blows open the cabinet doors.
That's a powerful sneeze.
And you just see Garfield and Odie, and they just have this, like, shit-eating grin on their face. And they, like, close the cabinet doors, pretending that nobody saw them. And they're like, Garfield's like, maybe they didn't see us. And then the ghosts, well, because they can, like, go through surfaces. Yeah. They float through the cabinet, and it like, scares the shit out of Garfield and Odie. They run out of there, and they're now running, and they're being chased by these ghosts. They get back to the dock. The boat's not there anymore. And Garfield's like, well, let's just swim to shore. And he jumps in. Odie jumps in behind him. Garfield gets into the water, and he's like, I forgot, I can't swim. And he just, like, sinks to the bottom of the river.
Of course.
So then, like, Odie has to, like, go down and save him, and he, like, grabs him, and he brings him back up, and miraculously, he takes him over to shore, and they begin their, like, 20-mile journey home. This is where it gets a little more interesting, because, I mean, it's a small cat and a small dog. I mean, like, not a small cat, he's like a fat cat. He's like a meal on wheels, roaming through the woods. I think he should be more worried about being attacked by a coyote than a ghost. at this point. Like, the two of them are males, basically.
Yeah.
They're on a river that probably moves faster than they walked.
Yeah.
So they could be, like, days away from home at this point.
Could be, but, maybe they move faster than we realized.
But they get home that night, luckily, and the next morning, Garfield is sleeping in his bed with 2 sacks of candy.
Yeah, they find the boat, and they take the candy because it's still sitting there.
Like, Garfield's like, oh my god, it's a Halloween miracle, we found the candy.
I didn't know Halloween had miracles, but okay.
It does. So the next day, Garfield was about to give Odie his, 1 piece of candy, and he's like, oh, you know what? You saved my life. And
Now here's a whole bag.
He gives him a whole sack of candy. I mean, 1 sack for Garfield was probably more than enough.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, he probably doesn't really need 2 sacks of candy. He doesn't need a sack of candy.
No, maybe a popcorn ball, like a piece of a popcorn ball, but he's a cat. They usually just eat mice.
He just needs a little catnip toy. He should be good for weeks.
Yeah, but he's really neat. Well, I mean, John's not really that good of a caretaker, though.
I'm telling you, John wants Garfield to get fat so that he can take him to the vet so that he can hit on Liz. That's the only reason he feeds Garfield like this. Why else would he feed Garfield all of this people food so he gets fat and then he has an excuse to take him to Liz?
Take Garfield every day to get his diabetes shot, just so he can see Liz.
Because eventually he'll wear her down.
The sardonic veterinarian. Alright, so we made it through Garfield's Halloween adventure.
Just barely.
Next time we're going to do That 70s Show. Season 2 Halloween episode of That 70s Show. It's available on Netflix. And any last minute words on Garfield's Halloween adventure?
Candy, 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 candy.
Ditto. And until next time.